Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today is a continuation of my Castles and Crusades, ongoing series. And this is once again by request from one of my subscribers to answer this question. So he had asked me, what are some of my more favorite creatures that are unique to Castles and Crusades that are in the Monsters and Treasures? So I've picked a couple of them, and I want to just focus in on them. But he also, or at least one other commenter in that same thread, had also pointed out how amazing the treasures section of this book is. And so I'm going to do a deeper dive into Castles and Crusades, Monsters and Treasures. And, hopefully you will see just some of the really, really cool stuff that that this book includes and the game in general includes. So without further ado, let's get into this. So I had shown off this book already in the previous video, and you could see it is a fairly large volume here. They always have sales. A lot of times you can get these for the equivalent of like 40, maybe $50 at the top end, and that sometimes includes a PDF as well. If you are a veteran, you can actually request that you get half off from any of your purchases directly from Troll Lord Games. So really a huge bonus and a huge thank you from them to veterans, they themselves being veterans as well. So but anyway, there's many ways that you can get these. They also sell them on sale if they have some damaged physical copies, and periodically they put some of their older stock on sale as well. So yeah, just tons and tons of great material there. So without further ado, let's move off of this and clear some room here so I can open up the book. I don't always get the best drop-down view of the books. The camera is not the camera doesn't get the orientation and the scale of the pages. It really depends on the book that I'm looking at, and it's been harder to get some of these things come into focus. But anyway, I will focus here, and I'm going to read pretty much the entire passage, because I think that, I had missed some things when I did my first look through, on one of the creatures that I'm going to feature once again. And the first video, I actually focused on that creature for a different reason. And now I think that my case has been supported even more so looking at it. So, the Allah. So the Allah is a large extraplanar evil aligned demon. So Allah are demons of bad weather who also loot or destroy crops and orchards of mortals. They are inherently malign towards humans and are able to change their shape often to deceive their prey or enemies. In their natural state, they appear as female dragon-like beings that never show their heads. When they do, however, onlookers will go insane from the horror. The demon's form is also commonly seen as having a scaly serpent's body, sometimes with 6 heads, and those heads are equine in nature. All right. Due to their shape changing, the descriptions of them vary greatly in mortal world. Many speak of animal traits and forms, while others of black flying clouds. When I first read this and I was thinking about this thing, and you see it as like very amorphous, or having some form here, as you see in the picture, where it kind of has like the horse feet and features of it there. It made me think of movies like the Black Box, where the entity was not something that had a real shape or form to it. You just sensed its presence, and it was devastating, in the damage that it had done, or it drove people crazy, and then they helped, they killed others around them and such. So, and keeping that in mind, we go back to its attacks here. So its movement is 100 feet, which is very fast. All right. Its two claw attacks do 3d10 damage. Its bite does 4d10 damage, or by weapon type if it's wielding a weapon. I certainly would think that it would. Why bother wielding a weapon if you're dealing that kind of damage? It has a special attack, Deathly Wind, the Face of Terror, Possession, and Shape Changing. All right, so let me continue. When they are assuming another form, only rare individuals can see them. Often these individuals are born under special circumstances or have the ability, second sight, for example, that enables them to see through magical guises. Allah are normally gigantic in size and able to gorge themselves on anything edible, people, livestock, and other beings, to maintain their size and power needed to sustain it. Their lairs are fillable with the bones of children and are blood-soaked when discovered, or filled, I mean. Children who stray and wander off from their families or communities are often susceptible to the Allah's hunger. All right, so you're starting to get, in my mind, you're getting adventure hooks here, in reading this. So now you're starting to see, like, how can I use this as a castle keeper, or, a dungeon master, if you're going to move this into, a D&D game, or a game master into some other fantasy RPG, because it is, fully transferable to any OSR system. And, I'm seeing adventure hooks here. I mean, just from the description alone, I could see, the party comes into a small village where, most of its populace has disappeared, and the town elder, or some of the survivors at least, speak of this, this kind of entity, or creature that can shape change. Maybe they saw it change from one form to another, and people are missing, and please go out there and save us from this thing. Now this thing has 5 hit die, a D12 5 hit die. So 5 hit die, and that's one of the things to bring up here, is that some of these creatures that deal a lot of damage don't have a super tremendous amount of hit die and hit points themselves. So there's kind of a trade-off here, that a party of adventurers of middle level could certainly be able to kill this thing. They just hope that they don't lose initiative. They hope that they are the ones getting the first action against it, rather than it having the first opportunity on them, because then it becomes a real challenge. And I'm starting to see that kind of a tone to some of these creatures here. It's like creatures with a whole lot of hit die and a lot of hit points do less damage, and this is starting to make some sense to me as far as the game mechanic is concerned. And if you think about, in our real natural world, smaller creatures tend to have the most extreme, poisons, or the greater defenses, because it's a compensation for their size. It's a survival mechanism for them as well. So really cool stuff. Allah can sniff out their human prey and sometimes attack them in their own homes, eating them alive where they find them. Hiding from hunting Allah is difficult. Hiding from a hunting Allah is difficult, and only the most advanced skill in hiding and powerful magic can cloak the persons being sought. All right. Their hunger is so great that they are known to try to devour the moon or the sun whole, at times causing a ellipse in those living in the mortal world. They find lairs in caves and high places and always have dark clouds hovering nearby. It is easy for the uninitiated to associate all dark storm clouds with them, but the experienced know how to locate them. If they lack a suitable mountain to live in, they will claim a hollow, great tree, lake, or even a cloud in the skies. The Allah's presence will taint the environment by making it sour and unhealthy. Again, adventure hooks here. This is how, a traveling, experienced group of adventurers just passing through the countryside might start picking up some signs of this tainted. They might smell or taste something in the air that just seems to be off, and then they see the desiccated trees in the area, and then a vacant village where there were no survivors left, and then in the distance around a desiccated tree on the hill, they see some wispy dark clouds around the tree, and that's going to draw them in to it. And if they're experienced enough, all right, they might even start to think about maybe this is what we're dealing with. Especially if you have like a paladin in the group, or someone who can detect magic, and then they will sense its presence that way as well. So just really, really cool stuff. So let me get down to the combat. So depending on its form, it will battle savagely and ferociously using its massive bite and iron teeth or its razor-sharp claws. Allah will show no mercy and rarely flee from battle. In the presence of more powerful demons, they will become even more emboldened and fierce. Deathly wind. This mighty gust of wind at the least produces a storm that devastates farms and crops and stirs up more powerful storms in a 10-plus mile radius. Hailstones will rain down on all, doing D12 per round of damage, and biting rain with wind so strong that it requires a strength save to remain in one's current place, or blown back 1d20 plus 5 feet and take d10 damage. All right, so super powerful storms that this thing can raise up. Again, low hit die, lot of damage that this thing can dish out. This is clearly a creature that you would treat as the focal point of an adventure. This isn't just a random encounter unless you have a high level party and you just want to kind of throw this thing at them. This is something that they're actually seeking to go out after. The Face of Terror. If the Allah is in its monstrous dragon-like form and reveals its hideous appearance to onlookers, they must make an intelligence save or lose their mind. If they fail their save, the mental insanity will last for 1d20 weeks. The victim will be completely neurotic and unable to function on their own without help, but they can be healed by clerics, divine aid, or simply outlasting the duration. If they fumble their save, the insanity is permanent and they will never be cured. Wow. That is a creature that really, really packs a a campaign altering consequence for fighting it and failing that saving throw, and if you fumble that saving throw, your character is pretty much finished. Cannot be cured even by cure spells. So really a quite devastating thing. Further elevates it up to being the boss battle of whatever adventure the players are on. On rare occasions, I'm reading Possession now. On rare occasions, an ally can possess the body of a mortal and take over its every action and word. The demon appears as a mist and dives into the victim unless a charisma save is made. Once taken over, the possessed eats like a glutton and begins to act oddly. Only a few things can drive the demon from the body: the demon choosing to leave, the cleric spell dismissal, or spiritual weapon, or holy word, or the victim's death. The Allah can use the possessed for whatever plans they are trying to manipulate or order by their greater master or their own. All right, so again, the possession could be the adventure hook. All right, so someone of note and power is possessed by one of these things, and it's not only occupying their body and doing these other various things, but it's also ravaging the countryside with its storms and such as well. Shape change. The Allah can assume many forms, from the largest monster to a small black fly. They can use this ability 7 times a day, and it lasts for an hour at a time. To fuel this ability, the demon must devour ravenously, or it will lose its hold on its form and revert back to whatever it originally was within minutes. All right, so when they take these forms, they have to consume quite a bit in order to maintain that form. Otherwise, they lose it, and they can only use this ability 7 times per day. So, really cool creature. Very, very impressed with it. And now that brings me to my next. So I already spoke about this creature here, the Amphisbaena. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And I already spoke about its tremendous bite of 4d8 for a small-sized creature. I tried to explain, this might be the focal point of an adventure, and I'm going to go further into that. With this particular video, I also tried to explain that it's an aberration, so it's only encountered in very small number, so 1 to 3, and so those things were playing. But then I looked further into the to the description. All right, and when I got here, oddly, it was believed that wearing a dead specimen around the neck would cure many health problems or attract the opposite sex. Nailing its skin to a tree could aid in the cutting down of difficult trees, or during cold work make it warmer for the laborers. Gathering Amphisbaena for sale can bring profit for those who would take this risk. And so once again, it's the focus for your adventure. It's the reason you're going out there. There might be a variety of different spell components that would require, this creature's skin or its eyes or its teeth or whatever. It has certain properties that it's believed to have, and so that could be the purpose of the adventure as well, is to get a certain number of skins that can then be converted into 7 necklaces that would confer, the ability to stay warm in cold conditions. Maybe it acts like a resistance to cold while wearing this, and as a reward to the party, the magic user that asks for them to kill one of these creatures or several of these creatures will make several of those necklaces for the party, and that's part of their reward. That's why they're willing to risk fighting something that deals, 4d8 plus poison plus constriction damage when they're encountering them. So again, and the fact that it's an aberration allows you to utilize these things in a variety of ways, not just as a random encounter in the open world. So, really cool stuff. Really excited to potentially use this in any of my games, not just in Castles and Crusades, but I could certainly use these creatures in my AD&D campaign, and they're easily transferable over. Remember, this is the natural successor to AD&D First Edition, so it is fully compatible with AD&D First Edition. I will then go to my next, and let's see. Now, this creature here is somewhat, where are you? So, there we are. So this creature here is a were-snake. And, I mean, it's a were creature, right? And a lot of people think, that's not really anything super, super special. I'm not even sure if were-snakes are unique to Castles and Crusades, but as I come through here and I'm seeing, and my current adventuring party is approaching the Hool Marshes, and lycanthropy has been kind of a theme or a minor theme running through a lot of what they're doing in their main quest. That when I came across were snakes here, I was like, I could certainly consider using these. Now, these are not as devastating as the others creatures that I was already referred to. They have 3d8, so 3 hit die, d8, so typical monster. D8s, they number between 2 and 8. Their intelligence is average. Their type is just a shape changer. Not super powerful. Interesting. They can constrict, or they use their weapon type in their other forms. They're going to have a snake-like body, but they do have talons and obviously a snake head on them. They move 30 feet, which is pretty standard. So they don't move very, very fast. They're lawful even alignment, so you can deal with them in an organized fashion. And again, in combat, were snakes, when in human form, attack with weapons, naturally spears or long swords. They despise good aligned clerics and paladins and will focus their attacks on these opponents if present. All right. Goes into their constriction, how that works. Alternate form, the were snake can assume its human form once per day. It retains twilight vision, and alternate form lycanthropes are immune to polymorph spells unless they choose to be transformed. Empathy, they have empathy with regular snakes, will aid the were snakes if it desires. He will telepathically communicate his needs for assistance, which will be answered in 1d4 rounds by 2d4 venomous snakes or 1d3 constrictors. So again, not super, super powerful, just interesting, and something that I can certainly see using in the not so distant future. Another fairly, normal creature. All right. So here we have the Ogre Rat. All right. And I was thinking about this. I was like, you know what? Perhaps it's just me, but I often overlook making lairs that adventure parties go into take on that real lived-in aspect, and the idea that an ogre lair would have, both males, they'll have females, they'll have children, and they'll have pets. And so when I came across this, when I was flipping through the books, I was like, you know what? That's something that I didn't always automatically do. And that was, put in lairs, pets, or, I mean, I've done watchdogs, I've done things like that, but to come across an ogre rat, I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool. I would probably use that. It does 2d4 damage on a bite, so pretty good bite. And three hit die, d8s for damage. It's a beast. Its treasure, interesting. Let's see what it says about its treasure. It says see below. Let's see. While the ogre rat care not for treasure, they do secret away shiny objects or trinkets that catch their eye. They will carry these objects into their tunnels and leave them there. If the party can somehow search these tunnels or negate the stone that surrounds them, a possible fortune could be found for ogre rat repopulate quickly and rarely leave their lairs. All right, so pretty cool. So that was the last thing. Now let's turn to treasure. So treasure, looking at this section here, we have coins, we have extraordinary items, and we have jewelry, right? And extraordinary items are pieces of art or ivory statues that are examples of these items that possess a monetary value if sold, but also afford players an opportunity to add depth to their characters by keeping these items that they've saved and obtained. So that's one thing, and I've noticed that with a lot of the treasure charts and everything, they had paintings and statues and just a much more diversified treasure, random treasure generation. So I really like that. Unworked precious metals and stones is another thing that I really like. You have your typical magic items that are normally jewelry, that's normal, coins that are normal. There are many types of coins, but the most common are platinum, gold, silver, and copper. Coinage or money is the most common and important types of treasures. So you have all of your regular treasures, with the exception of electrum, which has always been a pain to deal with anyway. Landed titles I spoke about previously. Services. In rare instances, characters may be offered the services of one or more monsters, humans, or humanoids. This is another rare and valuable treasure. So, yeah, just a much more broad variety of different types of treasure that you can have. Creating unusual items that give you a system for creating strange items, calculating magic items into gold values, and they'll have that. So they come straight out and they'll explain on a chart how you can determine the gold value of something that you've created and still stay kind of uniform within the described system. So I like that. Special materials, such so they give you actual details of what adamantine does, what mithril does, what darkwood would have. Goes into alignment of sentient items, and oftentimes we think about sentient items as being just weapons, but you could have a variety of, you could have a gold coin that's sentient. So the sky's the limit for what you wish to create on your own here. And examples of sentient item purposes, to overthrow an alignment, to champion an alignment, to find its creator, to destroy its creator, so you can, defend the, or play a particular creature type, or slay a particular, defend a particular race, defend a deity or its followers, destroy the world, or choose one. You could just choose one of those. So again, part of the random charts, or creating, I should say, random generation charts. So here we go into your chances. So it just goes across the board. So a treasure type, to have it of 1 is a 50% chance. 50% chance of having 2d4 times 10 of gold pieces. A 10% chance of having 1d4 gems, minus 10 to the gem value. 10% chance of having 1d2 number of items. 5% chance 1 item of magic or extraordinary that was extraordinary in the magic items. So a type 1 is fairly low, obviously. And let's look at a middle range would be a type 9. You have 90% chance of having 2d8 times 100 gold coins. 90% chance of having 1d8 plus 4 gems. 90% chance of having 1d6 plus 4 extraordinary items. 70% chance of having 1 to 3 magic items. Total value or maximum XP value of the item, you would limit to 5,500. So it kind of limits which kind of items you would have there. And then as you go even further, now you start getting into like dragon treasures and stuff like that. They start going into multiplication by 100 for coins. Gems would be D12 plus 9. I'm going in the very bottom, the 18 here. Extraordinary items, 99% chance of having D8 plus 9 extraordinary items, and 100% of having 1d6 magic items, with no cap on the value, the gold value of that item. So again, some guidelines on how to, structure your treasure hoards and such like that. Then we get into all of the variety, the sub tables for jewelry or gems, or and what I like is that they assign the value of them based on what you're rolling. Unlike AD&D First Edition, whenever I roll up gems and I go, all right, well, what's the value of this gem? I got to figure that out separately. I like this better because I could just do one roll and bang, I have, all right, so it's a violet green garnet or a fire opal or a topaz, and they're worth 500 gold pieces each. So simple to do that. And then here, extraordinary items, I can do, they could be expert weapons, jewelry, worn and ceremonial items, and then go through what are the expert weapons and what are their values, and then so on and so forth, and just go through these charts. So these charts, they have antiques, and so antiques will have certain value to them, based on the fact of how old they are, obviously, and so on and so forth. So the tables, I can see have much more variety than what you have in AD&D First Edition, and organized a lot better, and just more information or details that you need, like right up front. So all in one roll, you get what the item is, what type it is, and then what's its gold value, what's its XP value, and straight up all there on the same chart. Then they go into details once again. So So a slightly deeper look into treasures and monsters and treasures. Sorry, monsters and treasure, and so a slightly deeper look, looking at some of those very specific things. I hope once again this answers some of the questions that have been asked on the channel, and I will now, my next video, I'm going to start taking a look at the Castle Keeper's Guide for the first time and going through and seeing, what aspects of that book I find initially, very interesting, and what would I use right away, and what I might ponder on using later on in the future and such, and break it down into its various sections. So that will be a multi-episode look at the Castle Keeper's Guide. So that will be the next in the series of my Castles and Crusades videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, you want me to take a look at anything specifically within Castles and Crusades, as you can see, once again, I respond to those comments. I try to address them, and if it takes a video to address them, I certainly am open to doing so. And as always, enjoy your week. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. I have my AD&D First Edition campaign tonight, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking to bring a new player into the group, and so we'll be back up to 9 players. So really excited about that, and I just wanted to open it up to this particular player. It's a fellow YouTuber, and he's been looking for a game to join that that knows how to do old school role playing. So so really looking forward to that. Once he's actually joined and we've gone through the sessions and everything like that, I will do a follow-up and actually say who it was and what, let him speak for himself as to what his experience was during his first introduction into my campaign. Without further ado, let's wrap this thing up. I'm starting to get distracted by my phone and everything going on. So let me wrap this up really fast. Have a great afternoon. Take care.